Today on Behind the Chair, we are joined by Peter West, and we are doing her regrowth, which is, she's naturally like a 7 level, and we're just applying a tint to the roots. Welcome, Peter.
Howdy.
Just pause the washing machine. Okay, so we're just talking about hens parties and a good or a bad hens party, and whether or not you should have a stripper at your hens party, and whether or not you should have sex with a stripper at your hens party, which both of us disagreed that you should have sex with the stripper at your hens party. The other experience I have with a hens party is when the stripper won't go.
Oh, they hang around.
And you're like, why are you still here? Your time is up.
You've done your dance.
But it's like they want to know like where you're going afterwards or whatever, and you're just like, no, it's time for you to go, friend. Awkward. I'm gonna move this closer. No. I'll just put it there. Okay. Now, what's been happening this week in current news and affairs? Obviously, I don't watch the news as part of my religion, but something that came across my news feed on social media was about like Sam Kerr, who's like an Australian basketball player.
Soccer.
Is it AFL or is it?
No, it's soccer. She plays for the Matildas.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so she's a soccer player, which is like UK football is in Australia we call soccer. And I only just learned this. Her brother is
Daniel Kerr.
Daniel Kerr.
Did you only just make that connection?
Well, I didn't know who she was prior to this all happening. I just, like, you were hell into the soccer, I remember, which is why I wanted to talk to you about this. But I remember when that game was on and we were out having dinner and everyone's like, oh, we've got to watch the game. And I was like, what game? So it's not on my register. I'm not into soccer. I don't watch the Perth Glory. I don't watch the Matildas. The only soccer I go to is in the UK. I'd go to see Arsenal. And the only soccer players that I know of are like David Beckham. So I'm into like the pop culture side of it. I'm not into sport as like a religion or anything like that. But yeah, basically it's raised a lot of issues because prior to her winning the competition of like the something, she allegedly gets in a taxi, and I don't know if she chundered in the taxi or what happened, but she basically was saying that the taxi was too expensive. There was a dispute in the taxi over the price. The police get involved, and then she called the police a stupid white bastard?
Yeah.
And so that raises a lot of issues. Like, obviously, like, you shouldn't say the N-word because, if you are being racist towards, like, cultures that have been oppressed, then that's, like, not the right thing to do. But some people are saying that calling somebody a stupid white bastard is not, like, it's not a nice thing to say, but it's not a criminal offence that she should be going to, like, court over because white people are not oppressed. So therefore, the word racism, they're saying, doesn't apply to this situation. But you probably know more about Sam Kerr and the soccer and I don't know about the taxi, but maybe you can tell me more information.
Well, I think the dispute with her with the taxi thing, I'm guessing if she has chundered in the taxi, he's charged a cleaning fee or something that she's cracked it at. But then she's coming out, her lawyers are saying that white was not mentioned at all. That yes, she has abused the cop, but she's just called him, you know, a stupid cop or a stupid bastard, that she didn't throw in the white bit.
When did her lawyer say that? I never seen that.
Yeah, I saw that headline sometime last week.
Have you seen the actual statement?
Her statement?
No, like any official statement of her saying, or her lawyer saying that she didn't say the word white.
No, it was just an article I was reading. But yeah, it's weird. There's so many bigger things going on in the world, and they're going to charge her nearly 12 months later over just a throwaway line. And it's not, this whole reverse racism thing is just a cop-out. That's just white people choosing their moment to bitch and moan about something.
Oh, very interesting. So I wonder if I would like, maybe I should have done the podcast with someone, because she's Indian, I think.
I think so.
I'd love to know, like, obviously you don't think that it's racist if someone says white. But I think because what's your nationality?
English Australian.
Just say if she did say it or didn't say it is fine, but I would be so interested to know what an Indian person thinks about this. Do they think that saying like that is a racist thing to say? Another thing I saw, this lady, she advocates for women's rights, and like I follow her since I do the women in politics thing, and she said it's not racist and you can't define this as racism because on every single news channel that is talking about this issue, they use the actual word. If it was racism, like in its actual term, then you wouldn't see it on Sunday morning news the next day with newsreaders reciting it verbatim.
Yeah.
They would like have to, you know, sort of
they'd censor
suggest
it.
They would suggest the words that were being said. They wouldn't actually say the words.
Just like you said before, the N word. Like if that was the slur, newsreaders wouldn't be saying it. They would be.
What would they say?
It would be an implication, or it would be like censored from the coverage. Like if it was in a newspaper article, it would be N and then spelled out with the stars. So you can figure out what it is. They wouldn't actually publish it. Yeah,
I don't know. At first, I felt probably a little bit triggered by it because I swear hand on heart, I had no idea who she was. There's another couple of things that have come out that I don't know if this is relevant to what has happened. But they said that she's like part of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And she's coloured. Because the first thing, like I wrote on my Twitter, I was like, oh lol, she's upset about a taxi fare, which like UK taxis are expensive and I have felt like that before. But I just pay it because I'm like, you know, whatever.
She's also an international soccer star. She's not short of $1.
Yeah, well, that was my Twitter post. I wrote, lol, she earned like $3 million last year and she's worried about paying for a taxi. That was like my take on it. But there was this other dude that mentioned, yes, she might earn more money than the taxi driver, but when it comes to the police officer versus her, there's actually like a power dynamic that you can not see, but it would be felt, and that is that she's 1, female, 2, of colour, 3, so she like does sort of come from different like groups that might be discriminated against or whatever, and there is like a history of cops like treating people like in America like crap because like even athletes like crap and getting different treatment to their fellow like teammates or whatever. So yeah, I think it raises a lot, but I think the whole world hopefully is watching, and hopefully like the judge or jury or whatever like make the right decisions, and it like is a positive change afterwards and not divisive like negative change afterwards. What else do you know about her?
I just know she's in the LGBTQ community because she's engaged to another soccer player, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
Some blonde girl. I don't know.
Is she good or?
I think think so.
Is she like playing for Australia?
No, I think she's English.
So that might be why she was over there.
Probably. Well, she also plays over there for Chelsea.
Okay, I did not know that. So now, because I was like, why was she there?
Yeah, she plays for Chelsea.
She was there for work. Wow. And then, do you think she was drunk in the taxi?
I would assume so. When there's vomiting or whatever has been mentioned.
But yeah, this is all just like, I want to know what's actually going on, because the media will just tell you, like, not much actual info, I think, has been verified.
No.
Yeah. Have you ever spewed in a taxi?
No. Thankfully, I held on when I was, drugged many moons ago. And I vomited in the sidewalk and managed to hold on all the way in the taxi to home and vomited as soon as I got out of the taxi.
Oh my God, that must have been horrible. Have you ever had a taxi driver fart when you were in a taxi?
Not that I'm aware of.
Wow, really?
I'm sure it's probably happened.
So every single time, the first thing I thought of with this is like, you're upset about someone chundering, that's fair. Every time I've ever gotten in a taxi, the taxi driver has farted and it smelled so bad that I thought I was going to die. And I was like, well, that's just 1 point for us, for putting up with your farts every single time. And then I wonder, if she did chunder, what is the cleaning fee?
I thought, like, when Airbnb has a cleaning fee, but then you book an Airbnb and you're still expected to clean up before you go.
The cleaning fee is more like, if you punch a hole in the wall, I think.
Yeah, but it pays for a cleaner to come through. Well, one of the Airbnbs that we've been at, we cleaned up, we wiped down benches, did the dishes, stripped beds. The person asked to, put towels in a certain spot. We did all the things, but you still pay $60, $70 cleaning fee, because then a cleaner will come in behind you to clean all the surfaces, remake the beds.
Do you prefer an Airbnb or a hotel?
Airbnb if it's a big group, but if it's just a couple's thing, a hotel's easier.
Yeah, hotels for me, 100%. When you rock up to an Airbnb and someone's got like my year 7 fucking project on the counter that I'm expected to read with just like these
all the rules,
and it's like, you have a Karen haircut, I can tell. Like, I can tell by reading your instructions that you have a few cats.
Yeah.
And you're pretty, and it's just like straight away it affects your experience of staying there, because it's like you're in someone's house. The Airbnbs I love, where it's like owned by obviously like investors, like one I went to in the UK. It's like a lockbox outside the door, you punch in a number, you're in, you're out, you don't see the person, there's no rules, because you don't fucking need rules.
Yeah.
You just look, you leave out the remote control for the TV, you don't need rules with that.
Yeah.
It's like, and so it was run like a clinic, do you know what I mean? Like, they're the ones that I love.
Yeah, the ones where there's backwards and forwards about like having to meet the person to get the key.
No, I don't want to see you. I don't want to fucking...
just put it in a box and then I can just let myself in. And especially when, international, your flights come in at weird times. It's, 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to have to wake or disturb. I just want to.
Or you have autism and you don't want to look at anyone. Like me, you don't want to see people.
I just want to get into bed and not have to socialise with anyone.
You really don't want to see the person. Period. You don't want to know who they are. It's like, no.
Yeah. I don't need to be your best friend. I just want to sleep and shower. But I do. There is some like amazing Airbnbs that I've stayed at over in the States that I would book again. And it's just because sometimes it's nice to get out of a hotel, because then you feel like you're a bit more a part of where you are, or you see different areas.
I went to one in New Zealand where it was a lady and her son, and they must have been rich, like so rich. Their house was gangster, like tennis courts and everything. And it was cool because it was like you get to experience like a life in that city, in a suburb at someone's house. And it's also like obviously super comfortable and it was hell nice. But yeah, it was really cool going to that house. Before I forget, before we move on from the Sam Kerr thing, did you have any conflicting opinions show up on your newsfeed? Because all your friends are like sporty.
No, not really. I think the only thing that really flagged was that she hadn't told, like, the soccer bosses. Like the coach and the whatever manager was just completely unaware until it hit the news. So that was the only thing that really sort of went, oh, that's weird. If you, when you're a high profile person and shit like that happens, and especially if you're, in your mind, I'm innocent, this was low key, not really a big deal, you communicate and just a heads up.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
It would be the most annoying fucking thing to happen, eh?
Oh, yeah.
It would be so annoying. Because obviously, like, we all value our privacy. And you just be like, oh, I can't be bothered dealing with this. And, like, I can't be bothered hearing what people have to say about this. Yeah, I am interested to know, because if there's a huge media circus over this and she actually hasn't said it, or there's no actual physical evidence that she has said it, the only way they have evidence is if that police officer is wearing like a body cam. And if he's not, and this is an allegation without evidence, even if she did say it but there's no evidence, they are fucked for letting that get out to the press. And I think she would have a very good case, because this is going to have such a negative effect on her earning potential. I straight away just thought of the dollars, and I was like, here is a person who's worked their ass off for their professional career, and fair enough if you were like Tiger Woods and, you know, your wife's chasing you down the street with a golf stick. There's little kids watching you and you should do better and be better and set a better example as a human being. But if you are being, like, there's cases where athletes, I listened to an interview recently with someone, I actually can't think who it was, damn. But before there was any, so he was an American baseball player, and someone accused him of doing all these like bad things sexually. But it was just someone that had hit him up on Instagram and then went to the hotel. They had hooked up, and then she had apparently been like grooming a variety of like celebrity athletes and just celebrities in general, this lady. So she was actually known to quite a few people, but she just got the right guy on the right day that was obviously, you know, felt lonely, wanted company. He's let her in, they've hooked up, and then, yeah, she basically made all these allegations. And because of the allegations, he was stood down, and he was at the peak of his career at that time and on the biggest salary he'd ever had. It actually turned out he was innocent, but the damage was already done. Now years have passed, because the court process takes years. And so, you know, you have so far to fall. If you have, like, if they have done something wrong, then I'm glad the process is in place to protect people. But when someone's innocent and then they lose so much as a result of one opportunist, God, that's terrifying to think that could happen to someone, hey?
But that's also, on the other side of that, this is why so many sexual assault victims, like, you've got someone who's just making up crap to make someone's life difficult.
Or she wanted money. So this particular, the baseball one, she was extorting money out of people.
So it's like, so you're using, you know, your womanhood and that whole sexual assault angle to get some money. Then you've got women who have genuinely been assaulted.
And people don't take it seriously.
Exactly. Because you have people like this, you know, going down that extortion road. So then when someone else does it, it's like, oh, well, you're trying to do the same thing.
So then what could stop that from happening? Like, that's what I tried. When I heard this young guy, it broke my heart, having 2 sons. I thought, my God, if that was my son, I just would be so devastated. And I thought, what could be like a checking point that would stop those things from happening? But there was nothing I could think of that wouldn't also then have a bad effect on actual genuine victims. But yeah, I think as a woman, you just need to be so careful with your words, because if you accuse someone of something that they have not done and it ruins their life, and then the person who made the allegations, this was the hardest pill to swallow, there was no repercussions for her. And I just thought that to me was the truer crime.
Yeah.
That, I think if we punished women that were making it up more severely, perhaps it would like deter people from making it up. But then the counter to that is genuine victims might think, oh, well, someone will just say I made it up and then I'll get punished for that. Because when people are in those types of situations, usually the aggressor can be like very, very manipulative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think there's so many different things. I always try to like be able to argue both sides of the debate so then you're not some like one-eyed monster or whatever.
Yeah, you got to have your eyes open to...
Like maybe that cop like, you know, just was having a bad day. And he's like, I'm going to ruin her life. The other thing is, surely, like, I know my cousin's a cop, and I don't think cops ever go out by themselves. So the thing that made me jump to the conclusion, oh, maybe she's guilty of this thing, is surely that cop wasn't on his own, and so surely he would have at least one witness. Yeah. I don't know. But those are my thoughts. And then tell me about Daniel Kerr.
Oh, Daniel Kerr. He's a bit of a mess, that boy.
What now? Is he a mess now?
Yeah, he tried burning down his parents' house.
Yeah. And you have never felt like doing that yourself?
No, it hasn't really crossed my mind, that one.
I've gone through like moments where I'm like, oh, my parents are so annoying. I've burned down their couch.
You burnt a couch?
Yeah. I get the Daniel Kerr. Oh my god, it's funny. He might be a pyromaniac. Did they say why he burned it down?
I think he was having an episode.
Yeah, see, I can relate to that.
He's also, he was around obviously through all the drug saga.
Yeah, just move your chair back and left. What else do I want to ask Peter? Let me think.
What did you think about the kids in Broome?
I love you.
I
I can't think about it. There's two things that I like.
It's pretty awful.
Between seeing that and then the funeral I have to go to next weekend,
Life sucks.
No, life's great. I'm just happy to be alive, to be honest. But yeah, I said to Rob last night, this is like the most awful thing to say. This is like truly how I feel. When I went to Bunbury, I did all my cousin's hair for the funeral when my nephew died. And if you don't know about my nephew that died, my family had a car crash 2 years ago and 2 family members died. Little baby Zeke, rest in peace, and then also my auntie Denise, rest in peace. And so this new car accident where my friend, her 2 daughters died a few weeks ago driving from Kalgoorlie to Perth. I said to Rob last night, because I was chatting to the mum, and I said to him, this sounds so bad. I don't know if I can go to the funeral. Honestly. Like, what was the last funeral you went to?
An old man's, like a former volunteer where I work.
What about the last child?
I haven't been to a child's funeral.
Okay, well, I pray that you will never have to go through that. I've been to 6. So yeah, it's getting to the point where like I don't even know, like, you go to, what's the reason that you go to a funeral?
Pay respects to the family and acknowledge the person. And most of them, you learn a little bit about them as well, that, you know, when they do the obituary, when they talk through their life story, and you pick up things that you never knew.
Yeah, I don't know. I went and I did all my cousin's hair, and then I went to the funeral after I did their hair. And I'm glad I went to the funeral, obviously. And I also went and said goodbye to them, like a private thing. And I'm so glad that I did all of those things. But I'm like very traumatized by it. Like,
is this a combined,
yeah,
all of them?
And so I said to my friend the other day, they're consolidating, and so it doesn't feel like a new funeral each time. Each child's funeral I go to, they're layering, and so they're getting like heavier. It's hard to explain. I'm glad I'm medicated now, and I was medicated for Denise's as well, and little baby Zeke's. But I honestly, like, it's like so intense. So I probably will go. But I said to Rob, like, I really want to do Rachel's hair before the wedding, because that's something I feel like I'm good at. And that's another thing I've done just like way too many times that you should in your life. But it's like, if you were a hairdresser and you love someone, like all my clients are like my best friends. That's why I do the podcast. Like, we do chats and all that. And so then when they go through the best day of their life, like I do to have their hen's party, well, when their children die, I also do their hair for that as well, because I don't want them to go to their child's funeral when their hair's not done or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also like qualified to do it because like I have this like weird thing, I think being autistic, where when I arrive at the house, they'll cry, they'll be like, and like you do that whole thing, like, you know, when you when someone dies, like when your grandma might have died, when you first get to the house, everyone cries, and it's like the first time you see the person when the event has occurred, so it's intense. But after a few hours, you're actually laughing, and like, oh, haha, isn't it funny when they used to leave the toilets or whatever?
Yeah.
And that's because my psychiatrist told me that you can't, that phase at the beginning when you greet them, you physically can't stay peaking at that emotional intensity for more than a certain period of time, because you'll die. You'd have a heart attack.
Too much, yeah.
And so what happens is you taper off. And so the medication I take, I think I used to just live up there, basically, like with feelings, and it takes you to like medium. But he was saying the reason why you'll start laughing is because your body tapers down. And so you'll peak again when a new person arrives, but then you taper down. But I have a way of like, when someone on a day of my friend, her daughter's funeral, like the most recent one a few years ago, I was the entire time, she never asked me to do this, but I didn't talk about it. And I was just telling her funny stories, like, you know, just like the fun, you know, my sisters, like funny shit that we have done. And like, she literally was laughing, and it was like this unspoken thing. And I felt like, and she actually thanked me for it later. She goes, for that hour, she goes, she got to have a break from what was happening.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I felt like it's not something that I want to do all the time, but I think that I am good at doing now.
I think, like you say, you're kind of there for every milestone. So whether it's a good one or a bad one, you're there for a wedding, a hen's, a birthday, a funeral.
Yeah.
And some of them can be sort of, I don't know, it's like culturally for a long time they're really heavy and it's all very sad. But every now and then, you can, it's a bit more of a celebration, like, don't be so maudlin about it. Actually, let's celebrate the person and the amazing life that they've had and the achievements. And there's always going to be a tinge of sadness, but it can be really exhausting to just carry that emotion, like you say, at that high peak all the time.
There's some really grim parts of a child's funeral that only people know that have been to them. And it's such a different experience to an adult's funeral. It's like, no funeral is good, but my pop's funeral was a positive experience. You know, it was the hardest time of my life, but that week was also the best week of my life because my family was all together.
Everyone comes together.
And like, it really was, we can say, a celebration, whereas So
when
anyway,
it's a child, it's a bit different.
and
as
so
well.
in answer to all of your question with all that was just then with the thing with Broom, like because I know the family, like I haven't been able to look at that, and so whenever pictures have popped up or whatever, I have to scroll past it because I like cannot bear it. Like I can't. I think when like things settle down, like later after the funeral and everything, then I'll like chat to my friend who's like family friends up there. But yeah, I got the weirdest message. I recently did Rumble up there and I got professional photography for that, like I do for all of them. This lady messaged me and she said, oh sorry, this is really random, but can I have the professional photography of that event because one of the ladies has died. This is such a grim conversation. Oh my God. And she goes, one of the people that came to the event has died.
And they wanted the photos.
They want the pictures. I said, yeah, sure. So I emailed, and I said, if the picture's not there, let me know because the photographer might have more. But yeah, we got the picture. So that's the other part.
That's a very random request.
I know. That's the other role I play though in like this grim conversation is, how I take photos of everything and everyone? For so many people, I have been the person that's provided the photos for the funeral because even my auntie Denise, I wouldn't see her that often, but every time I see her, I would take 100 photos of her because I just like loved her.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they were able to use some of those photos. But yeah, it's like another grim thing that I have like changed is now every time I see someone I'll take a picture with them. And like I went to a birthday party, this is even more fucked up. I went to a birthday party a few weeks ago and I just went, I DJ'd there and then I had to leave to go to another event and I said, thank you for inviting me to your party, I'm like so glad you're alive. And he was just like, okay. And then I was like, and if you don't make it to your next birthday, I just want you to know, like, I love you and I'm proud of you. And he was just like, you're such a strange person. Like, everyone else like, happy birthday, let's get fucked up. I'm like, if I never see you again, I want you to know this. But yeah, that's like, yeah.
Well, that's yesterday we had a catch up with Mitch's grandma. And it was so this weekend was the first time she'd met Ben because she lives over in Broken Hill. And
where's Broken Hill?
Just outside of Adelaide.
I thought Broken Hill was like Wick Park.
No, Broken Hill's, I think it's technically in New South Wales. Like if you fly into Adelaide, then you drive there, I think. But anyway, yeah, so Ben finally met his great-grandma. And so yeah, yesterday at lunch.
Sorry, I wasn't concentrating. Did you just say she's here?
Yeah.
No
so
shit.
She flew over to Perth. So they're all kind of like, this will be her last trip to Perth.
That's really fucking grim.
Yeah.
Did they say that to her?
Not to her, but it's just that's the vibe. Like, she's 91 years old. Physically, she won't be able to. Like, they had to take her to hospital while she was here because she's got, like, problems with her feet and... Yeah, so there was we did all these photos and I'm like you, like we've got to get photos and we've got to get different combinations. So I was like, okay, we need grandma with the kids, grandma with her son, grandma with like all of the, like Mitch and his sisters and doing all of those combinations.
Good on you for doing that.
We don't know. Like, I don't think she's going to, go anytime soon.
Do you know what you really want when someone dies?
This group together
is a one-on-one photo with that person. Because, there's group photos of fucking everyone. My uncle said to me, he goes, do you know, the only picture he had one-on-one with Pop was him, Pop, and me. That's why I know that, because he wanted me to, like, I said, I'll try and digitally remove myself.
And I said that to Mitch at the end of, like, we did all these photos, and then I said... do you have individual photos of just you and your grandma? And Mitch was like, oh yeah, we did that yesterday. And I don't think they did. I think they just did group photos. But I tried.
Whose mum is that?
Jeff's. So Mitch's dad's mum.
What are they like? And her husband is...
he passed away
deceased.
A while ago, yeah.
How many kids has she got?
3. 2 sons and a daughter.
Why did he come over to Perth?
He was adopted when he was young. So she flew out of there. She had him here. And she was told she wasn't married to her eventual husband. So, yeah, she had him out of wedlock. And back then, that was not the done thing.
I have friends who've
had that.
They take the baby away out of and it's not your choice.
No. So they think she was told that he died, like he hadn't made it. So she went back home, got married, had 2 legitimate children, raised them.
The same dad?
Yeah. They were all same dad. And so he was adopted by a couple that lived in Wagen. So he grew up.
And where are they?
They've since passed on.
So his biological family has died?
Yeah.
How close is he to his biological mum?
Yeah, he's good now. I can't remember, he would have been 30s, 40s when he rang her to be like, I'm your son. So he managed to get contact details, because Mitch was a kid. Picked up the phone and was like, sit down, I've got something to tell you.
How did he know his whole life it was her?
I'm not sure about the story of how he found her, but he always knew he was adopted, so it wasn't like a big secret.
Were the parents like same sort of nationality? Like
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you one more grim story, and then that can just be like the dark podcast. So my mum, growing up, had a best friend. Her name was Barbara, and she looked just like her best friend. They looked like twins, and the same thing happened to Barbara. So she came from, I believe, an affluent family, and she fell pregnant, and they took the child away from her. And I think that the child might be maybe 10 years older than us, so maybe 40 or 50 now.
Yeah.
And my mum is like, I don't know, she won't want me to say. But so she has the pregnancy, she has the baby, and they take the baby away. And it ruined her life. And so she just, well, because you have kids, how that might have felt for her. But being young and out of control, the maternal feelings of a child, perhaps, postnatal depression, I'm not sure. I can only imagine like what she went through. Ultimately, she searched and searched. She never found the daughter. And she died, the lady.
That's hard.
As a result, it gets worse.
When you can't find them.
So then one day my mum's at work and Barbara's already died. And my mum, it was really hard for her when Barbara died because they had like a twin sort of bond, like when one gets hurt, the other. So that changed my mum and it changed her life forever when her best friend died. One day she gets a call and it's Barbara's daughter.
Oh.
She's come looking for the mum. So my mum has nurtured this child now, because my mum, I think the child and I've actually never met the girl, but I think my mum feels connected to the child and the child feels connected to mum through like their shared experiences, and my mum can like tell her stories about like going, but she never met her.
That's so sad.
That's so bad.
It's the timing isn't
But you just think life's so easy now and we're just trying to look for problems. But can you imagine how hard life used to be? Imagine, so Mitch's grandmother's here.
Yeah.
She's probably had a pretty hard life, just saying.
Well, and when you've thought your kid's dead and then suddenly you get a phone call and he's talking to you on the other end. So she's lost 30 odd years seeing, grandchildren, all that sort of stuff growing up. But
there are like archaic practices that people at the time thought were good for you that then we realised that's probably not so good for you. So one of which is, another example is so fucking grim as well. Another example is my nana said when you had a baby that died at birth, that you weren't allowed to see the child or bury it. They just took it away, and your way of dealing with it was just get it out and act like it never happened and just send them back to home with nothing. Yeah. Whereas now, obviously, my sister's son was born, he didn't survive the birth. And so we had like a funeral, a grieving process. But yeah, my nana said back in the day, and I'm like, thank fuck we don't do that now and the adoption process, or even if your child was gay, or another example is I have a friend and her child has this thing where they have both genitals. It's called, if you have a penis and a vagina, there's from birth you have both parts.
Yeah.
But she was saying that back in the day they had a process where
They choose.
oh, it's just so bad. But there's one archaic practice that has gone that I sometimes have a question mark. And it's controversial, but I have 2 sons. And I'm not Jewish, like I'm Christian. So like I didn't follow any like Jewish sort of practices where they like remove like part of their penis. Yeah. What's it called? Like
foreskin.
The foreskin. So I haven't had that done. Do you think that you should do that?
It was not a thought that crossed my mind when my son was born. And Mitch and I did talk about very briefly while I was pregnant if we have a boy, and no, don't need to do that. That's fine. They're born like that for a reason.
Why did you bring it up then?
Because it was just because it used to be a traditional thing. Like when my brother was born,
would he
it was
mind
just
if
a
you
standard.
said if he is or not?
No, he isn't. But then he told me his mum had intended to, but Mitch was born premature, so she was like, he's gone through enough. I don't want to do anything to him.
I can tell he was a premature baby. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I love it.
He's a bit special.
But okay, so if he was, just say he was Jewish at birth, but he's not Jewish now, but he'd had a cultural practice like that, would you do it then to your son?
Probably not, no.
Because, I haven't done that. But I have family members who haven't had it done and then had to have it done later in life because there was something wrong. Like they were just like pissing at the roof or like whatever it was. There's some reasons that kids actually need to have it done.
Yeah.
And so something I found really interesting is like one of my cousins, her son had to have it done at like, I think Sheila's sort of age, like 8. And because of medical reasons. And, credit to the father. The father goes, at first he was like, you're not doing that to my kid. And then the doctor said we have to because it's going to be very, very bad for their health.
Yeah.
He goes, cool, well, if he's getting it done, I'm going to get it done in solidarity. And off they both went. I don't think he realised
what he was getting into.
It fucked him up. It was... And this is a person who's not like a snowflake. Like, this is a person who I can't imagine would complain about things on a normal day, like from another culture and things like that. And it really, really, for, I would say weeks, maybe months, it was full on.
Struggle.
So, I think that's my reasoning for perhaps maybe we should do it from birth. But, I don't know how many people
down the
need
track
it done.
might need to. And that's where we're at with Ben. He's got a skin that's stuck right now. So
are you serious? So you're going to have it done?
Potentially. So at the moment we've got a cream. So we got to do that 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. And if it doesn't
I hope you don't have to have that done later.
Yeah, ideally not. But we'll see. We'll see how this cream goes. Sorry, I'm talking about your penis, Ben.
So anyway, in summary, I think that maybe moving forward in like future generations, just say if 1 in 3 kids has trouble with those things and then has to have it done, and it's barbaric, the practice to do it to an older kid. It's still barbaric at birth, don't get me wrong.
I think there's less, sort of pain and repercussions at birth as opposed to...
Because I don't think you can just book into a doctor and get it done. You actually have to find a Jewish person. So
there's got to be medical reason. There's a lot of hoops to jump through nowadays.
The other question that hopefully someone listening to this can answer before we go is, if you are Jewish, let us know. How do Jewish people feel about non-Jewish people? Like how I said, I feel sometimes a way when people are doing like Christian practices that are not Christian, and sometimes I feel like not offended by it, but I'm like, oh, it makes me feel weird to see. So I wondered, how does a Jewish person feel when non-Jewish people like participate in a cultural practice that has no significance? Is that like appropriate, or is there something that we should do so that it's like observing their culture? Because I don't think we don't want to be disrespectful to other people's cultures. And then maybe I don't know enough about my own religion, because maybe Christian people used to do it and then they stopped. I'm not sure.
I feel like people who are not religious cherry pick what works for them out of other religions.
No, cherry pick, or it could be like making music, where you might listen to Snoop Dogg and you might listen to Dua Lipa, and then you might feel influenced and come up with your own song that you can't say you've copied them, but maybe you have known multiculturally, you've lived in Australia where you have a friend that participates in every culture, and you go, hey, I'm going to start my own culture and I'm going to take this, how can I do this in a respectful way? And that's what I think we should do more of. And that is where we will end, because your hair is ready to come off in 2 more minutes. Is there anything else you would like to say?
I'm all good today. Well-rounded chat.
It's a really fucking depressing chat. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast. So depressing.